And blessed are you who are the peacemakers, for you shall be called the children of God. Jeffrey Hunter once played Jesus Christ. His face with kind blue eyes, nice features, and a peaceful feeling that shined like holy light once made millions of people believe they were seeing Jesus on the big screen. In King of Kings, 1961, he didn't just act, he became the character. And because of that, the role locked him into a perfect image, the perfect man, noble and without any mistakes. But Jeffrey Hunter was not Christ. He was a regular person with flesh and blood, who shook with fear backstage under pressure, who tried hard to hold on to fame as the spotlight faded, and who finally died alone in sad darkness. Once called Hollywood's golden boy of the 1950s and 60s, acting alongside John Wayne in The Searchers, chosen to play the first captain of the Enterprise in Star Trek, Jeffrey Hunter came very close to greatness. Yet those exact roles, a foster son on an endless search, a movie savior, a captain who got replaced, seemed to hint at his real-life story. Always near the center, there at important moments, but never the one kept aboard when it was time to launch. And so he fell, not from lack of skill, but because Hollywood never waits. The story of Jeffrey Hunter is one of quiet sadness in a shiny, but cruel world where the brightest lights may be the ones that burn a person out the fastest. Do you remember him? Before he was Jeffrey Hunter, the big screen actor who once played Christ, he was simply Hank, the only son in a Muckiness family living in New Orleans. Born on November 25, 1926 with the full name Henry Herman Muckiness Jr., he was the result of a college romance between two young students, Henry Sr. and Edith, at the University of Arkansas. They once dreamed of a steady future, but times changed. Jobs were hard to find, and when Hank was 3, the family left the warm South and moved to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a place of harsh winters, but also where the dreams of a future star would begin to grow. In Whitefish Bay, Hank stood out early. He wasn't just a good student. He was handsome, friendly, and a natural leader. In high school, he was captain of the football team, class president, and most importantly, a semi-professional child actor. He performed with the North Shore Children's Theater, acted in summer plays with local groups, and in 1945 earned his first paycheck from the WTMJ radio program. Those Who Serve, where Hank's warm, deep voice touched the hearts of thousands during the leftover cloud of World War II. After finishing high school, Hank signed up for the Navy and trained at the Great Lakes Naval Station. But luck changed once again just before he was supposed to go to Japan. Hank got really sick and was let go in 1946. Coming back to Milwaukee, confused but still determined, he signed up at Northwestern University, where he stepped into the world of theater for real. At Northwestern, Hank studied speech and took part in many plays, film clubs, and worked closely with David Bradley, who would later direct Julius Caesar, 1949. It was also there that he realized to go far he had to go to Hollywood. And like many young men of that time, Hank packed his dreams, graduated with honor, and headed straight for California, carrying a nameless but bright hope. A few years later, the name Hank Muckiness would disappear. In its place, Hollywood would know him as Jeffrey Hunter. In California, the promised land of movies, Hank Muckiness didn't arrive with dreams of being a star. He was simply a graduate student studying radio and theater at UCLA, doing plays like any other student. But one special evening in 1950, everything changed when he took part in a campus show of Arthur Miller's All My Sons. That night, scouts from Paramount and 20th Century Fox were in the audience. In that young student, they saw something special. Good looks, a well-controlled voice, a clearly movie-like presence, and most importantly, a kindness with depth. Paramount invited Hank for a screen test, but inside problems stopped the contract process. During that time, he met a young actress named Barbara Rush, who would later become his first wife. Not wasting time, Fox quickly stepped in and offered him a 9-year contract, starting on June 1st, 1950. The powerful studio head Daryl F. Zanuck, seeing Hank's test footage, suggested changing his stage name from Hank Muckiness to something more screen-ready, Jeffrey Hunter. And just like that, an unknown student became one of the most wanted newcomers in early 1950s Hollywood. Jeffrey's first role was an uncredited appearance in Julius Caesar 1950, directed by David Bradley, his old friend from Northwestern. Soon after, he was sent to New York to film 14 Hours 1951, a movie that not only helped launch his career, but also marked the screen debut of Grace Kelly. It was the moment Hollywood began to truly notice Hunter. In just a few short years, Jeffrey appeared in a bunch of major big-budget films. Red Skies of Montana, 1952, as a young firefighter. Sailor of the King, 1953, as a brave naval officer. A Kiss Before Dying, 1956, as a scary but charming student-turned-killer. In each role, he wasn't just handsome. He was careful, thoughtful, and not afraid to play difficult characters. In 1956, Jeffrey Hunter was cast as Martin Pauly in the Western masterpiece The Searchers, directed by the famous John Ford and starring John Wayne. In the film, Hunter played the loyal adopted nephew who quietly went along with the lead character on a years-long quest to rescue a kidnapped niece. His role wasn't that of a typical hero, but he was the film's moral heart, the one person amid the wild frontier who held on to being human. John Ford once said, "I needed someone who could stand next to John Wayne without being overshadowed, but also without stealing the spotlight." And Hunter delivered through thinking eyes, layers of silence, and a character who made a lasting mark without ever drawing a gun. The next peak came in 1961 when he was cast as Jesus Christ in the religious epic King of Kings. Casting a 33-year-old actor with movie star looks to play the Messiah stirred up arguments across Hollywood. Yet despite the criticism, Hunter approached the role with rare dedication. Sad eyes, a soft-spoken voice, a gentle smile. He made audiences believe they were seeing a Christ not beyond reach, but deeply human. Still, the results were unavoidable. He became typecast, and from that point forward, Hollywood no longer knew what to do with him. Too holy to play villains, too quiet to fit the shape of the new age action hero. Hope for a career comeback came with Star Trek. In 1964, he was cast as Captain Christopher Pike in the original pilot, The Cage. But when NBC asked for a second pilot, Hunter said no to returning. He didn't believe the show would work. It was the worst decision of his career. The captain's chair went to William Shatner, who became Captain Kirk, and the rest is television history. Star Trek exploded into a worldwide cultural hit. By then, Jeffrey Hunter had moved on to be movies, left only to watch from far away like someone who had once stepped aboard the ship, only to turn back just before it took flight.